Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Byington and I'm your instructor for this course. This is just a quick video to kind of orient you with the basic things that you need to be able to find in this online version of British Literature to 1785. So first I'm going to go to the Content tab. The main thing that I'm going to do second that I want you to be familiar with is the master course schedule. That is where you're going to always know when things are due or when you have an exam coming up or whatever. But I am going to start with the syllabus first, just to say that I did warn you about some of the content in here. I think for the most part, you are grown-ups, you know what to avoid doing, like plagiarism. But I do want to point out that I have another section in here that we've had to add in our courses throughout or for this semester about papers or any written material that's written with the assistance of artificial intelligence, AI apps. So here's my take on it. I think it's interesting. I think you should use it as a springboard to help you develop your ideas, but you should not be abusing it. So use it, don't abuse it. That being said, I do have limits on how much you can use. So in paper proposals, which are shorter assignments, you'll have two of those throughout the semester. You cannot have more than 10 words of AI generated content. In the final paper, you cannot have more than 20 words of AI generated content. Also, essay or thesis questions in the exams, you'll hear more about those later in the semester. We won't give you videos or descriptions describing the content of your exams. Those, as well as visual responses, the written content in them anyways, should not have AI generated content. So this is in the same category as plagiarism. If you do not follow those guidelines with the AI written material, then it's going to be the same consequences as plagiarism. It ends up being a 0 the first time. If it happens a second time, or it's more than 50% the first time, you fail the course because it's cheating. It's not doing your own work. It's not fair to people who are working hard and doing their own work and putting forth effort. One more thing about that, when you do use it and you are following those guidelines, you must cite it. You cannot count it as an outside source. For example, you have to have a certain number of required sources in the final paper. You cannot count that as one of those sources. You just simply must cite it. So you are acknowledging to me, hey, this is not my voice. This is not my writing voice. Now, I will leave it up to you to familiarize yourself with the rest of the content on here, such as the late work policy and the few situations in which I am willing to work with you if something comes up. Another important thing here, but you can see this in your grade book as well. This is the breakdown, the point scale. If this doesn't make much sense to you, all of these points add up to 1,000. So you have a total of 1,000 possible points in this class. If you just drop the last number off of that, then you can look at these as percentages if that is a little easier for you to understand. So for example, the final research paper is worth 200 points, or if you just drop the last 0, you can look at it as being worth 20% of your overall grade. So you also have a grading scale for 2000 level literature courses listed here. Now, I do not, one other thing I need to tell you, I did email you about this, but just to remind you so there's no panic. In British literature, I do not require a textbook. So you will have readings. Let me show you where they are. So again, we're going to the content tab. It's right here under the course schedule, reading links. When you open this, it has all of the readings we are covering this semester. This prevents you from buying a book. Now, if you do better, especially with longer pieces, like plays, if you do better having a physical copy so you can make notes next to it, so like your exams online are open note, so maybe you want to do it that way, print a physical copy and make notes on the longer work. You can do that, but there are no text required in this course. So I'm going back to the content tab. So the course schedule, like I was talking about, the most important thing in our D2L for our class. So everything you need to know and when it's going to happen is in this calendar. If there are changes, I do email you and make a news post about it. I'm not going to blindside you and do something at the last minute or require extra work at the last minute. If there are ever changes, it's usually that something is canceled, like a reading or something. That's a really rare instance, by the way, so don't cross your fingers on that. But let's see, your calendar, or rather the things that are due in the calendar, the assignments, this is all color coded. So, okay, the bigger, more serious things like exams and paper proposals, those are in colors that should give you a sense of urgency. So exams in red, they tell you when they are due and to take it in assessments. So to get to exams, you will click on the evaluation tab and click on assessments, and it will be there. It tells you how much time you were given in it. And also my exams open approximately 6 days before the due date. So you have almost a week to take it. So there's no excuse for not taking it. You also have a paper proposal that is due when you have an exam. Those always fall on the same timeline because we are closing out that unit and going into a new one. You don't want your headspace to still be over here in the Middle Ages when we are going into the English Renaissance. So paper proposals, those will have their own video on how to do those. Your visual responses, you have more of that, a gentler color, less alarming color. These do add up over the semester. It's a low stakes assignment. It's something to help you generate a little bit of content that you can use in your papers or even in your exams. Because I believe in you being able to recycle all content that you create, all work that you do. So it's not always busy work. This is meant to be sort of a scaffolding thing where you can use things from early on in the final paper if you want. But these visual responses, there is also another video for those covering how to do those. You have 5 of those throughout the semester. Just be sure that you are paying attention to those due dates so you don't miss one. I try to put a couple weeks, or excuse me, every other week is when they are due, and not like back to back. So you have a little wiggle room and to catch up in other classes. And also, your research paper is listed at the end, and when your final exam is to be taken as well. That's the only time they don't fall on the same day. All right, so that should acquaint you with the calendar. The other couple of things I want to point to in content, again, so your syllabus, in case you need to check rules, the calendar, the most important thing, the reading links, that's where you will always find whatever is scheduled to have been read. Your visual response prompts, that's there. I'll be covering that in another video. Same for the paper proposals. Okay, recorded video lectures. I have recorded video lectures for your assigned readings in this course, and you really need to watch those to do well on the exams. Especially some of the material from the Middle Ages, like Chaucer, you really need guidance on that. Most people do because it's Middle English and it's not like the stuff once we get into the Shakespearean age where it's kind of like plots we are more familiar with, right? So you'll want to use that module to watch the videos. Then I also, the other place where I get your exam questions from, those are the PowerPoints. And those are broken up into these 3 separate units, just like in your course calendar. So here are all of your PowerPoints for Unit 1 and then Unit 2, like so. And that should be all that you will need at this point. I don't want to overwhelm you with information, just trying to acquaint you with where to find things. I'm just coming back to the syllabus one more time to remind you of my information up here, where you can find me. Now, I only do office hours by appointment, but you can just let me know and we'll try to figure out a time. I can do it on Zoom too. But there's my email. And you can also email me, of course, if you go to course tools, go to class list, be sure you select the tab that lists instructor as well, so you can find me. So that's how you can contact me if you have questions. And otherwise, I look forward to having you in my class this semester. Thanks, everybody.